Welcome to Healing with Heart. Simple ideas for profound healing. These videos are meant for informational purposes only, not intended to diagnose or treat medical conditions.
It's devastating. It's devastating when I have to talk to a patient, a client, and their family about mold in their home. When we do a mold test in their home and it comes back that turns out that they need to either get out and remediate or potentially sell it, move out. So many feelings happen. Anger, sadness, despair, right? Confusion. There's a lot going on there. But it's important to remember how valuable your health is. But today I want to talk to you about mold, losing your home, and the art of surrender. When I have to talk to someone about losing their home, it's often just like the 5 stages of grief. If you're not familiar with it, the 5 stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. When we hit denial, when it's time for me to talk to someone about their moldy home, it's often something like, our home is too new. Could it really be this bad? No, it can't be our home. Some people don't even want to test their house. They refuse. I've had patients get angry with me at the idea they should even test it. Now, when they do later, it turns out they were probably moldy, but I can understand because when you really see the big picture, it's just part of grief. They're hitting that denial. It's okay to recognize that and sit in it, but you need someone who's going to be patient with you and watch you work through that. The second phase is anger. They start getting upset. Maybe you're upset at the people who sold the home to you, at the people who are supposed to help you fix it after the storm. Maybe you're upset at me for even bringing it up, right? You're upset at the universe that you even have to deal with such a huge issue on top of your chronic illness. Again, all totally understandable. The biggest key here at this stage is start to channel that energy, channel that anger to something useful. What are your next steps? What do you need to do next, right? Channel that anger. Number 3 is bargaining. It looks like something like this. What if I get an air filter? How about sleeping in a different room? What about using a remediation company who says we can kind of get it done really quickly and easily? Well, how come it doesn't affect the rest of the family? Right? You're trying to bargain with me on the house, and it's not up to me, right? It's the health issue itself. It's the mold itself. There's no bargaining with the mold. It's already there. The key to this stage is to taking a deep breath and focusing on 3 words that we use to deal with obstacles: adapt, overcome, improvise. Instead of bargaining, trying to get away with the least, slow down, address each obstacle one at a time, and work through it as best you can. Number 4 is depression. After you've burnt through a ton of energy coming to grips with it, through the denial phase, getting angry about it, and then finally trying to bargain through it, you're pooped. You feel defeated, right? Maybe you have a family member or spouse or whoever who's not supportive because they don't deal with it. Look, it's okay for a moment to embrace those low feelings because eventually they're going to clear out. We want to respect the emotions you're having, right? Don't try to just grit through and push through them. But don't let it rule you. The key here is to focus on the greater purpose, your healing. In this moment, and this really applies to all of your life, what's the greater aim of things? What are you really looking to do? If you're really looking to heal, then maybe losing your home is a part of what that takes. Or maybe dealing with a remediation company, or maybe moving out for a couple of months while you get it figured out. But whatever it is, during this phase, you want to focus on the bigger goal. Honor the feelings you're having. If they're low, negative, depressive, honor them, but don't give in to them. Because you're not over by a long shot. And look, depression is not the same as surrender. It's not the same as acceptance. Depression is more like a lack of energy rather than a surrender into what's possible. But right after this phase, 5th stage, acceptance. Radical acceptance, as defined by different psychological sources and contemplative schools, is something like this. It's when we stop arguing with reality, we quit fighting against it, and we begin to embrace it so that we can move past it. If there's a wall in front of you, you can deny it all you want, but it doesn't help you get around it. It's only once you admit, hey, there's a wall here, that you can decide to either climb it, walk around it, or dig underneath it. That's acceptance. That's surrender. Surrender doesn't mean resignation, doesn't mean giving up. It means embracing. It means seeing things for what they are and continuing to move forward. At this phase, this is when a lot of people start to learn the lessons like, wow, when I finally decided to accept and let go, new things blossomed for me. I've had patients who decided to live in an RV for a year, and it was hard on them and their family. But when they did, and they embraced it, it allowed more things to come. They became closer as a family. Eventually, they were able to buy a new home. They discovered a new way of living that embraced nature, right? But that could have never came had they not gotten to this acceptance stage. I encourage you to don't rush your way through each stage, but recognize you're working through grief. If you're dealing with mold illness and it's in your home and you've got to figure that out, you're probably working through one of these stages. Don't try to rush yourself. Accept where you are and keep moving forward. If this has been part of your journey, I would love to hear from you below. Tell me how you dealt with potentially either remediating or losing your home or having to move out for a little while and how you came through it, because it's so good for others to hear it. If this was helpful for you, I highly encourage you to share it, and thank you for listening.